Hello, welcome to Fiber Trek. I'm Sarah, and Morgan has been able to come and join me. I am a day late, 2 days late recording because I actually thought today was Wednesday. I actually thought today's Thursday, so I thought today was Wednesday because I started my Sunday Monday schedule off. So I'm a little bit late getting this out there, but it's totally worth it because Morgan wasn't available until tonight.
Yeah.
So we are going to cover in this week. We're going to do our welcome. We're going to do works in progress and finished objects. I don't think we have any finished objects.
I do.
Oh, that's right. That's totally worth the wait. Then what are we going to do? Textiles, spinning, textiles in time, and a fond farewell. I think that's it.
Okay.
So we're going to launch right into welcome. So new and returning, thank you so much, and we hope you enjoy this episode. We hope we're not too weird. Sometimes we get a little weird, but just bear with us because the information can be helpful and interesting in between the weirdness. I made some lovely connections this week. There were some wonderful comments in the Ravelry group and also on Instagram. So I appreciate all those people who reached out in some form or another. On the Rav group, we heard from Sarah Pomegranate of Yarns at Yinhu, which is a lovely audio podcast I listen to kind of come down from my day. And my husband likes to listen to that one with me as well. So it's an easy one to put on at night and both sit and knit. I'll be sharing Rob's projects with you later. I heard from Have Faith, who has the Stashless podcast, which is another great uplifting podcast. And I heard from new members of the group, Marie. She's fairly skilled. You should take a look at her introduction. She knits, crochets, tats, cross stitches, and quilts.
Holy smokes.
Pretty much got the handcraft covered. So it was great to hear from her. I heard from Fondant Fiber in the UK. She is a purveyor of fibers and yarns and project bags.
And cakes.
She has cakes?
I don't know, fondant.
Oh.
That's what I was thinking.
No. That's just in your dreams.
All right.
Cake.
So
she is, she probably had one of the best descriptions of fiber that I think would ever exemplify me. And you all know, I mean, look at what I'm wearing right now, gray. Although you're going to be very impressed with my projects. But she described fiber as earthy, crunchy, and peaty. And earthy and peaty are both, I don't know if they use the word earthy, but they should, adjectives that we use to describe Scotch. And I think for me, that's woolen Scotch just emote this feeling of being warm and cozy and fighting off the drought and draft and the dreek, as they say in Orkney. And I think that there's something really comforting for that. I don't know. I wish I could be better able to articulate what that is. And it's one of the things I'm actually working on in conversation with another friend. We're just trying to figure out how to talk about yarn in what we love about it, because sometimes we can't really articulate that. I digress. So thank you so much, Fondant, for that great Fondant Fiber for that great description. And I would encourage you to go check out her shop because she's got some Peaty fibers. Essie Hupworth, we're cheering on in the last days of the Island Wool Knit Along, and she has made a good show. And I'm thinking we may just have to let her submit this because her project is incredible. She's knitting the Vedbeck shawl, and I have been completely enabled, as has Morgan. Oh, it's better to be partners in crime.
it really is. It makes you feel better.
It does, because we're going to end up ordering yarn from the Faroe Islands. So it makes you feel really better. She is using, I'm not sure I can pronounce it correctly, a fiber from the Island Wool Company mill, and it's Faroese blended with Falkland fiber, and it just looks peaty. So I'm totally about ordering that, as well as getting the Vedbeck shawl. I don't know who that's by, but I can give you more information when we actually do it, which I'm thinking I'd like to get mine done for the fall.
I like the sounds of that.
Yeah. Big information next. Marion H., who's a member of our group, I don't think I told you this, but she commented they had a cougar watch in her neighborhood.
Really?
Yes, and she's like,
Cool.
I can't believe it. We had the Megafauna minute, and then lo and behold. So thanks for sharing that. That is just serendipitous.
That's
and
awesome.
just goes to prove how relevant what you have to offer is, even to the knitter.
Sarah.
The cougars and knitters. I mean, come on. Thank you, Fern. Socks and Sticks was another Louise Dickinson Rich fan.
Yes.
And I put another list of some other books in that thread, in the Cougars thread, that are similar to Louise Dickinson Rich if you're interested in learning more. One is Nine Mile Bridge, and the other is My Life in the North Woods, and Allagash Warden's wife tells stories, Annette Jackson. And then Hey Jude 555 is getting to spend some quality time with her son, and we're so psyched about that. And you know that there's an element of this podcast that appeals to cross generations and genders, and so that's makes us feel good.
It makes us feel really good.
So works in progress and finished objects, just because it's getting silly. Okay, I'll go first.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta shift. We both have tea, so just forgive us. But I note that I am wearing my Such a Winter's Day sweater, and it's.
And I wish I was.
I know, I had all the windows open when Morgan got here because I was like, it's gonna be 49 tonight, 81 tomorrow. Let's get all the cold air in. But it's cold.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's okay.
snuggle you. But it's almost July, and we're wearing wool sweaters, which is why I love Maine. So, works in progress for me. You know that I finished the Brush Creek Cowlet. I almost said the Black Sheep Cowlet. And I immediately cast on because I've been dying to work with this yarn, which is Tidal Yarns. This stuff is crack.
It's really pretty.
It's over-dyed gray yarn with botanicals or natural dyes. And she sources her yarns and has them spun for her. I mean, she sources her fleece, and it's can be varying degrees. But this on the bottom is called Saxon Blue, but this one didn't have a name that I could really describe. And you can see I'm building a series of shells, and it's going to look like this. This is a pattern called Sea of Shells by Rose Beck. And that might work for you. So I have those two colors, of course, those two kind of blues. And then my last color, if you pass me that bag, that I'm going to do the third scallop in is going to be this beautiful green. Although I think you probably can't tell the difference. Oh, maybe you can. Yeah. And then the bulk of the crescent is going to be in this
It's going to look so nice.
pretty brown. It's a little bit more, yeah, I guess that's true. So I'm cruising through that, and I'm really psyched with the progress I've been able to make. I cast this on Saturday, and today's Thursday. So, and I took it to a really horrific, ridiculous meeting. It makes me want to poke my eyes out with hot pokers. So I got quite a bit done on that. The other, I'm knitting that on size 7, US 7s, 4.5 millimeters, and I'm knitting it with worsted weight yarn. And it is designed for worsted and Aran. And it's just been a really sweet little pattern, so I encourage you to go check it out, by Rose Beck. The other thing I'm knitting is the Good No sweater, and that's by Bonnie Sennett of Blue Peninsula Designs. And I've talked a little bit about this before, but I'm using my Northern Solstice alpaca yarn, which is 90% alpaca and 10% bamboo. It's hopefully going to look like this. And you can see there's a little cable detail on the side. So I've started that. I'm just kind of puttering away on it because I, of course, have the epic Burnham wood capelet on the needles. I'll get to that in a minute. If you follow me on Instagram, the horrifying news has already reached you. So here it is. And you can see I don't have that much done on it. But it's a beautiful, beautiful yarn. I'll be curious to see how this alpaca works. I can totally notice a difference working with this, going from this to the wool, to the sheep wool. So anyway, I think it's going to be gorgeous. I love the color. I'm spicing it up.
Look at you.
Look at me.
Strides.
I'm not hauling out the Burn and Wood capelet because frankly, I'm petrified that I'm going to
Burn it.
Yeah, no. I was going to use a really colorful adjective with biblical overtones, but I decided not to on that. So I broke. So I'm knitting along, and I notice that the needle is laying on my lap, and I'm like, my interchangeable needle came off. And then I remember that I'm not using interchangeable needles.
So sad.
Yeah. So it was such a funny little double take moment, and I just kept trying to make sense of it. Sorry about that. And so then I lost all these stitches. I had to pick those up. Rob is running around looking for something that I can hold the stitches on. He's running out to his shop, and he ends up picking up this coated wire that I can put him on and then lock it. And I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to. I put it away. I got it secure. I put it away. I'm like, I can't touch it. The thing is so beautiful, but it is epic. It is the Odysseus of knitting. It is like saga. So, or Crime and Punishment, or Les Mis. It is like, good God. Is it ever going to end? But it's just so, I don't know if Crime and Punishment's that good. I haven't read it. But anyway, it's so good. It's going to be so beautiful in the end. So, Rob has a work in progress. He is back to knitting cautiously after his surgery. And he turned the heel on his socks and is now shaping the gusset. And he picked up most of the stitches by himself. And I was like, why did you pick dark brown? So we're like here at night with my aught light, like trying to pick up stitches. So good progress with that. And he already has the other sock done to the turning, to do the heel. So all he'll have to do after he knits the foot is go to the other tube and turn. So he's psyched about that. Fern says hi. I think that's it for me. I'll do spinning when you're done.
Okay.
So, you want to start with your FO because it's so beautiful?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I finished Piper's Journey for my mother.
It's gorgeous.
And blocked it the other day.
Avec moi.
With Sarah. Can you see that? Yes, you can.
I always love
Love
how we're
it.
peering under things.
I know. Love it.
It's beautiful. First
yeah.
time you did lace, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I did a little bit with the first cowl that I did.
Oh, that's
Using
right.
yarn.
You did the Rivington cowl by
Rivington
Kristen
cowl.
Cooper.
Yeah, so I did a little bit with that, but this, I loved it. I liked knitting it. It was really quick and rewarding.
It was wicked quick.
Yeah, wicked quick and wicked rewarding.
Yeah.
And I think my mom's really gonna like it. Yeah. And my grandmother has put in an order.
It's Quince and Company yarn?
Yes, chickadee.
It is. It's
Once
the
again,
okay.
it's the chickadee, but I forget the name of the color again. But it's kind of like robin's eggy.
Yeah.
And then the other color that I have to knit it with for myself is the twig. colorway.
It'll be gorgeous.
But yeah, I love it and blocked it with Sarah the other day when she was washing some fleece and we made strawberry rhubarb pie. It was just a
day.
solid day.
Tonics.
Oh yeah, gin and tonics by the fire. We had burgers and it was a great
We
day.
had to keep the ducks, so we have this on the lawn, and I have my screens out there for the fleece, and the ducks and the ducklings were coming up and like searching around the blocking boards and jumping on the screen. We were like, ah! So.
And another event that happened that day was Sarah.
Gin and tonics with the.
Sarah ripped out my
assuaged.
sweater.
Yeah.
Hence the gin and tonics.
Hence the gin and tonics.
Yeah, it was like 25 rows.
with noops.
With noops.
It was like...
And with increased noops. I had
noops,
increased the noops.
Joined the sleeves. I did not let on how slightly terrified I was about ripping this out.
It was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And I just walked away.
You were too funny about it. You were like, she was like laying on the couch, just like completely melancholy, and I was like, it's gonna be fine.
It's gonna be okay. It's okay now. We're working on it. All because I forgot to decrease the underarms.
16 stitches.
16 stitches, 2 sets of decreases.
I know.
It's all I forgot.
It'll make a difference though.
It will make a difference, and I was just upset. I just want it to be done. Move on. I'm ready to move on.
You can put it down and move on, Morgan.
No,
you don't
because
have
I'm
to
gonna
finish
have
it.
to come back.
You're one of those knitters.
I'm one of those. I need
We'll
it
let
to
you.
be
We'll let you
over.
be that person.
I need it to be done.
It's
I
okay.
need it to be
Let's
over,
finish it.
and I want to go move on to Brush Creek, which I'm not gonna do for the knit along. I'm not gonna participate in the knit along.
If you apologize, I'm gonna have to slap you on camera.
I'm not
It's
gonna
knitting.
apologize.
It's okay. It's fun. You'll get it done.
It's fun.
Maybe I'll buy you a prize anyway.
Okay.
You feel that left out.
Well, I found out I have to work all weekend, and I can't bring my knitting with me. Really.
Could you knit at night, even if you just brought this or something little?
Yeah, I could probably knit at night. There's no way I'm packing this. I'm not bringing this with me.
Okay.
It rains and
This wool, man.
weather. I know, but
Okay.
I'm just not feeling it.
Fair enough.
So, anyways, I found out I'm gonna work all weekend. I was planning on spending the weekend just knitting the heck out of that brush creek. But that's a no-go. So I'm not gonna participate.
But then you have 4 days off.
Yeah, I found out that I'm getting actually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
You have 5 days off.
5 days off next weekend. I think it's my first 4th of July weekend ever. I think it might be.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting. Yeah, I'm gonna go home.
Take my knitting.
Take my knitting. I'm gonna go to the beach. I'm gonna eat everything all day.
That's not really a stray from normality.
It's not at all. That's my average day, actually. Knitting and eating. Yeah. So it's gonna be good. So it'll be worth it, but not gonna be in the knit along.
It's fine.
It's okay.
There'll be another one.
I'm at peace with it now, mostly because you're at peace with it.
Oh. I just want, it's just an opportunity for us to maybe buy some Faroese yarn, which we're going to do.
Which
so
we are going to do. Split
I'm
the
in.
shipping. It's economical.
Yeah, it's a smart decision.
It really is. And so that is all that I have going right now. The sweater is just taking it all out of me
No, sorry.
emotionally. But I got this done. Really exciting. Haven't given it to my mom yet, obviously. I was supposed to see her this weekend, but I have to work. So next weekend, I'm just going to leave it at home, and when she gets back from her trip, it'll be there awaiting.
Still capable of wearing it, even into July. I mean,
Yeah, and I was like, well, maybe I'll just wear it. I could wear this and get away with it, but then I felt bad. Just knowing me, something would end up spaghetti sauce. Something would happen.
Try not to eat it when you're. Try not to wear it when
while
you're eating
eating.
spaghetti.
I know.
I always wear my shells when I'm eating spaghetti. So we ready for some spinning?
Yes.
So I got inspired this weekend and took a little challenge or adventure with my washing machine, and I decided to wash some of my Icelandic fleeces because I have like 6 of them. Hello, Coco. What are you looking for?
Coco.
So I started out with a white fleece, which I think this must have belonged to Little Girl. I'm sorry, Rosebud. It's one of my newer sheep. Sorry, I'm out of camera. And this Icelandic fleece is really interesting. So I segregated out the back, or the top of the sheep, which would be a backbone along the back, and then the kind of the sides and haunch. I washed them separately. So this is from the back, and Icelandic are a dual-coated breed. They have the thell, which is the undercoat, and the tog, which is the long guard hairs. And if you take a look at this fleece, you'll see that the thell and the tog really aren't differentiated. So you have some beautiful crimp. I don't know if it's going to show up. Curses! I can't make this happen for you. As well as other podcasters do. So I combed it and I spun it, and it's like a cloud, which the word cloud and Icelandic fleece don't always get put in the same sentence together. And while I may describe this as a cloud, some people probably would not describe it as cloud soft. But this is a fleece that compared to the other fleece I washed, which was Little Pharaoh. I lost her a year ago. She's an older gal, but you can really see this differentiation of the thell and the tog. She does have some areas of crimp that are similar to that white fleece, but really the variation in fleeces it's really interesting to me, which is why sometimes it's really hard to classify. Well, Icelandic is this way, or Shetland is this way, or what have you, because different sheep are going to have different strengths and qualities for what they produce, and they are going to have, and that's going to vary throughout the actual fleece. Which, if you buy your own fleeces and you do segregate out, and I don't just mean skirt where you go and you kind of pick off the dags. But you pick out exactly what you want for which project, you really have a lot more control over what you get as far as the tactile element. So, sorry, that fleece, the white fleece of the Icelandic, I'm thinking I'm going to take the back section that I showed you because I washed the others as well, and I'm going to try and spin this as a fine 2-ply lace weight. And this I'm going to spin all together, and I'm probably going to try to do either an outerwear, do a 3-ply and do some sort of outerwear piece, or if Rob and I can get ourselves in gear and actually get the loom going, maybe do a little short rug or something like that. I don't want to let this go. This is a meaningful fleece, and this is not to be dismissed just because I can't wear it. I can't maybe even wear it. So I want to become more creative with how I prepare the fleece so I can correlate it to its best project. And I probably have been most influenced by this thought process through Deb Robeson and her great film, Spinning Rare Breeds, as well as Judith Mackenzie McEwen, because they're both particular about the fleeces that they use, and they're both adept at matching what they have in their hands to what the product will become. And instead of just spinning it and having it be spun, being a better planner about it and understanding how to use this fleece effectively, because this has value to me, both personally and because it was my sheep, but also because this is stuff. This is good stuff. So I did spin the white fleece into a 3-ply, and
it looks great.
Yeah, I have it here. I combed it, and I did do some carding preparation, but I'm thinking I can get this to show you. I don't know, maybe not. But there it is as a 3-ply. I love 3-ply yarns. I love to spin 3-ply yarns, but I probably will end up doing this as a very fine 2-ply lace weight, and maybe knit a fairway shawl with it. I also combed and prepared a series of nests of the Corriedale Shetland that I'm spinning, and I was kind of a combing fool. Combing gives me great satisfaction, and here they are. This actually, if I could get myself in gear, I could spin this for the Vadback shawl. My thought process was to make this into a 3-ply for a sweater, but I don't think I'm going to end up with enough for a sweater through the combing. It was a small fleece to begin with. So I need to just kind of evaluate that a little bit better. I think that's it. I'm continuing to spin the Clun Forest. I did not get any of that spinning done this weekend. I was more focused on preparation this weekend. And think that's it. I don't know why I wrote, in the machine, that's why I wrote that down. One of the things about combing Icelandic fleece, which I'm going to have to just experiment with, is that when you comb the fell and the tog, they do end up combed and you get elements of both in your prep. However, when you go to diz it off, and to diz is to pull it off the combs, and you you hook it through a hole or a piece of a material that has a hole. I don't think I have mine right here. And I want to talk about that. Anyway, what happens is the longer fibers that come off the combs first. And so you end up with a big bulk of your tog in the beginning and then your fell in the back. So your nest kind of has, it's kind of broken a little bit, or disjointed. And I'm going to need to figure out how to deal with that. So, but you can see how that might happen. So I end up with this like section of spun tog, and then I get to the fell. But that was just something a little bit interesting that I learned. I'm going to do textiles in time.
Sounds great.
So this actually plays into the spinning. So I'll try to get better at my transitions instead of like, that's the end. So textiles in time, I wanted to start with just a quick recap of, or just a revisitation of the Paleolithic period. Because one thing that we talked about was the presence of plant fiber and cordage being one of the very first items that were unearthed or even thought to have been prepared and used as a fiber for daily life. And I was thinking about this because I was thinking about the lucette that I bought at Fiber Frolic, and I was thinking about cordage, and I was thinking about dispersal, prehistoric dispersal, and what that really meant and how people did that. And we know that fire and language are two major elements of this shift in human movement and capabilities. Fire obviously for warmth, protection, but also to cook food and preserve food. If you can preserve food and cook it, you can travel further for longer distances. You can also, with language, communicate, obviously, about hunting and history and strategies, and you can share information, you can share knowledge, working knowledge. But I was thinking about cordage, and I was thinking about what impact cordage would have had. And it's probably not something that comes into our awareness very often, but cordage would have been a mechanism for movement as well, because it was it's what lashed things down. It's how you carried your items. It was the precursor to nets and precursor probably to even some use for trapping and snares, etc. So when you think about the importance of cordage and the art of making cordage or making rope, that element and how it affected some of the shifting in the population at the end of the last ice age is really important. So I was just kind of like thinking like that small little thing, just one thing, cordage, what allowed you to bind your tools together, bind your house, bind your clothing, bind and lash stuff to travois or travois, which were sleds that people carried behind them. So just something interesting to think about. That being said, we kind of talked a little bit too about the era of the domesticated, when the dog was domesticated, and that's what Textiles in Time has to deal with today. My friend is an attorney for a tribe out in Washington State. She and I were talking a little bit about some of the tribal, stuff that goes down. And one of the things she brought up was this concept of the woolly dog. And we did a little bit of research on it. And the Coastal Salish peoples cover a span of landscape that includes Washington State and into British Columbia. And I think it's more of a general term to describe a collection of culture than it is an actual description of a culture. So, for example, in Maine, we have the Abenaki, and that breaks down further into the Mi'kmaq, the Passamaquoddy, the Penobscot, etc. So they belong to a larger ethnographic kind of geography. But that's kind of the ethnographic geography we're talking about, which is the Coastal Salish. And they, about 10 years ago, brought to the attention of the academia this concept that they had used dog hair in blankets. And it was kind of dismissed. There wasn't a lot of evidence or research. People said that it didn't happen. They were relying entirely on oral tradition. And so over the course of 10 years, there was this kind of look into were the Coastal Salish actually breeding and using a specific dog breed for their blankets and for their weaving tradition. So Anne and I were talking about this, and I got thinking that this would be a great kind of investigative element for the podcast. So what I found was that dog hair was traditionally used to make thick weight blankets prior to European contact, and that's an important element. They used the fleece undercoat and the long outer hairs. This dog was believed to have looked a little bit like a long-haired white Pomeranian. It was kept separate from other dog lines within this area. So there is evidence that, based on a couple of archaeological sites, that they were two distinct dog breeds. And they had, and that there was documentation by early explorers that there was a wool dog that was herded, isolated, and shorn. So the doubt there was doubt for a while, and they needed more kind of technology, and they needed a little bit more evidence to go on. So we have the archaeological sites and the two distinct dog skeletons. We have some documentation from early explorers that interacted with these people and interacted with their weaving tradition. And one of the things that was interesting they brought up was the archaeological sites. The differentiation in male and female ratios is what leads them to believe that there was actual animal husbandry, that these animals were bred for specific traits and therefore domesticated, similar to sheep, or how we would evaluate animals. So early on, this was around 2001, I believe, that this question was proposed to kind of corroborate these oral traditions and this history. And they found, and I think in 2011, I could be wrong on that date, but they found in a later period, they found a pelt that was discovered in the Smithsonian collection, and I think it was the museum, this National Museum of the American Indian. They found a pelt of an animal called mutton. And mutton was the pet of an ethnographer who studied the tribe, and this would have been he would have been on a boundary survey crew in 1857 to 1886, I believe. And they journal and catalog this dog, Mutton, quote, the woolly dog which the Indians shear and make blankets of hair, quote, George Gibbs. And he was the survey interpreter and geologist. So they took the hair of mutton and they compared it with other fibers they had in a catalog of a few ceremonial blankets. Traditionally, the ceremonial blankets that remain were mountain goat hair, and these were the best blankets. This is blankets that would have been cherished because of the mountain goat hair. Mountain goat hair they gained from other tribes, so obviously there's a bit of travel and trade involved, whereas the dog hair would have been more immediate. So the dog hair was an everyday blanket use. So they were able to look at, under a variety of microscopes that I can't pronounce, but they were able to actually break this fiber down, look at the peptides, and realize that they were different, and compare that to mutton. And so by comparing the proteins in mutton and the proteins in these blankets, they did realize that in fact dog hair had been used in the blankets.
Interesting.
So very interesting. Now you may be wondering, well, why is this such a mystery? If they were breeding these dogs must remain, but they actually don't. By 1900 they had vanished. And part of that was due to the colonization of the area, and probably the letting go of tradition, the importation of other readily available resources, but also you lose this breed through intermingling of breeds. So their care may have just gone away. What else? Yeah, so I found this through an article called "Investigating the Presence of Dog Hair in Coast Salish Blankets" through the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian. Mutton was discovered, the pelt was discovered in 2004, and then through a series of research in academia, they were able to, the articles that I was reading came out in 2011. So I couldn't find a lot of information on the whorls and the looms of the coastal Salish, and I'd like to do a little bit more research on that, but I can't speak to how ancient the tradition is. So, but that's something you can certainly explore on your own. So, yeah, dogs and cordage.
Very cool.
All textiles in time. So I think people can somewhat be, I don't want to use the word dismissive, but from the simplest of things like cordage for binding your pack to your back, to ceremonial blankets of mountain goat hair. I mean, it had a huge presence and a huge impact on life as it is today. So, with that being said, I do want to do a quick fiber trek, and then we'll do a fun farewell. I have just set up another shoot for our next future episode. This one's going to take a little bit longer because it's going to be a series of 3 shoots together versus 1 shoot. So I'm working with Marcia McDonald of Long Plains Alpaca. She'll be talking to us about natural dyeing, and that will be complementing sea colors. And then Tyler and I are investigating one more arc for that episode. But speaking of episodes, the Starcroft Fiber Mill will be coming out at the end, tomorrow potentially, Friday, and then be out there for the world to see. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm excited.
I think that's it.
I'm excited.
I got so into my textiles in time.
I know.
It was like just
You went
talking
back.
away. Sorry. So I think we're going to do a fond farewell.
Okay.
We're looking at about 38 minutes, which is awesome. The Island Will Knit Along, as Morgan mentioned, does end at the end of July, and we're cheering on Essie Hepworth and her Vedbeck shawl.
And thank you for the inspiration.
And enabling. We're all over that. I think we should reward ourselves
with some yarn.
with some yarn, just for being us. And I wanted to mention too that I'm coordinating a retreat in October at the New England Outdoor Center, which is on a beautiful lake in northern Maine overlooking Katahdin, which is Maine's highest peak. And I'm doing this in conjunction with Katie of Knitting on the Fly podcast and Heather of the Fiberista Files. And I'm a coordinator, so I work for New England Outdoor Center, so it's not like a fiber trek retreat, but I will be there. I have a pretty amazing marketplace, and I'm really excited about it. But if you're interested in coming, you can certainly contact me on Rav. I did put a note in our group about it. It's October 23rd through the 26th, and for shared room, it's $399. That includes all your meals, a glass of wine, all your classes, a goodie bag, and lodging, of course. And we're hosting Bristol Ivy as our keynote speaker on Friday night. We're having a wine dinner and a keynote speaker on Friday night. So I'm really excited about it. If you have any interest in coming, we can certainly arrange to pick you up at the airport in Bangor. And just let me know. I'll be happy to help you figure out how to get here if you're interested in coming to northern Maine.
How do I get there?
How do I get there?
You can't get there from here.
I came to a really hard decision this week that I would not be going to Scotland. And instead I'm going to New Scotland or Nova Scotia with my husband for 5 days. So I'm going to be hopefully discovering some fun yarn and fiber there. We'll be visiting Louisburg, and we'll be visiting the only North American Scotch distillery. Very excited about that. And we'll be spending 2 nights in Halifax, which is an awesome, probably my most favorite city in the world. But I haven't been to very many cities, but this one's my favorite. And because I'm not going to Scotland, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts from the UK. And I thought I would just share them with you. I've talked about Louise of Caithness Craft Collective before, but I would highly recommend that. She's located in the north of Scotland. Sarah's Texture Crafts, which is a fun podcast. Shiny Bees, which I love. She has a very funny segment about silly patterns. Yarns from the Plain, Electric Sheep. I just listened to Knit Spin Cake, and the other one, which I'm not, comes and goes. Oh, A Playful Day. So those are actually all audio podcasts except for Sarah Texture Craft. She has a video podcast. And yeah, so if you're feeling like you need to just connect with the island over there, then go ahead and give those gals a listen. They're excellent, and they have a lot to share, and you'll discover a lot more about fiber via those their discussions. So with that being said, I will say a fond farewell.
Fond farewell.
She'll say a fond farewell. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.